Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are tuned in to Nerd Initiative YouTube for another edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. What is going on, everyone? My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative editor-in-chief. To my left, you're right at home. It's in his contract.
Coming at you live and direct, straight from the ODPH studios. My name is Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur, Ken, and Derek. Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. We are talking about a special book, and there is nobody, and I mean nobody, at Nerd Initiative, quite possibly on the planet either, too, that knows more about Tony Stark and the legacy of the Invincible One than our own managing editor at Nerd Initiative, and also the host of Paperweight Entertainment is the one and only Derek. Derek, what is going on?
Seriously,
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me on here. It has been a long time coming.
Absolutely. Like when we were talking about which books to do this week, and obviously there's been a lot of news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. One story in particular has really taken a hold of everything. And we said we were going to be talking Iron Man. That was no way we could do the show without having you come on, giving the stamp of approval, and talking about one of the most interesting takes of all of Iron Man in the illustrious history of Tony Stark.
I would say it's even infamous. I mean, it's the new mask, but same task for RDJ.
Yes, indeed. So tonight's book that we're going to be talking about is Infamous Iron Man from Marvel Comics in 2016 by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev. And this book, if you have not checked it out, is one that I'm not going to say is going to be influencing what we had announced at San Diego, because I don't think that that is fair by any means.
I have my theories,
but we all have some theories about it, and I know that we have a picture to really kind of kick off what we're going to be discussing first, and that one is what we all saw at San Diego Comic-Con. This is what officially broke the internet. And honestly, we kind of throw that term around a lot in pop culture, but honestly, I think that's the only way you can describe that.
We'll get this.
So let me ask Derek this, since you are guest hosting tonight. When you saw this happen, what was your reaction? What was your thoughts? Chat, super chat, throw yours in. We would definitely want to see that and be sharing that as well. But RDJ is Victor Von Doom?
Yeah, so the first thing, I wasn't watching any of the coverage. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just at home with the family, and my phone started blowing up. And so I pulled it up, and I was looking on X, and I couldn't believe it. My jaw hit the floor. First off, I love Robert Downey Jr. He's one of my favorite actors, has been since I can remember. I absolutely loved his portrayal as Iron Man. And I've been saying for a long time that he's definitely coming back to the MCU. There's not a chance that they're going to do Secret Wars and Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't be coming back to the MCU. But there is not a world where I thought he would actually come back and play Victor Von Doom and not Tony Stark. I couldn't believe it. I was very, very excited to see that they brought him back. I love the way that they revealed him. It was a really great thing that they did at Hall H. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I started making phone calls immediately when I saw that news.
Yeah. Tom?
Just solely for a production standpoint, and with everything going on in the background at Marvel, with them having to try and pivot from Kang, this is the idea of, hey, we just need to pull up as many dump trucks full of money and get RDJ back. This is a really smart part on Marvel, how they're going to, work the stories that have already started to be written and pivot from here. Again, great idea. Can't wait to see. I still don't think Kang is completely out, but he's now gone from A tier to F tier.
Well, I think there's a couple different stories going on here. I mean, obviously, one, with everything that was going on with the Kang Dynasty, Marvel had to pivot, and there's no better safety net than the Russo brothers, who are coming back to direct.
Agreed.
And arguably the face of the MCU, and that's Robert Downey Jr. However, though, when you gave him the end of the story in Endgame, how do you top that? How do you bring him back? And to see him come back as arguably the most iconic villain and at Marvel, it's a really puzzling situation. But I also feel that knowing that they're going to be eventually getting to Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars as the final two-parter of the films that they've just announced in San Diego, I don't feel that this is the real the real Tony Stark. I think that this is going to be a situation where Tony Stark somehow is back because, let's face it, it's comics. Only one person has ever stayed dead, and that's Ben Parker. So my feeling about this is he is going to be in Latveria, captured somewhere. Doom has a power that he uses called possession. He's done this many times in the comics where it's literally a body swap, or in the great John Travolta, Nicolas Cage face off. He winds up switching personalities. And he is going to discredit Tony Stark and take over and become the protector of the planet like he's always touched upon throughout the comics, because Doom feels that he should be ruling the world because he is the only one that can do it. And I feel that that's going to lead into Secret Wars because the quest for power doesn't stop there. It never stops for Doom. That's always been his flaw. So I feel that it's going to be a big swap of characters, but I think by the time it's all said and done, they'll reveal who the real Victor Von Doom is by the end of Avengers Doomsday. Tony Stark will still be a prisoner of Latveria. We go on with the story from there. And to kind of even throw another theory out here in chat, super chat, like I said, I want to hear everybody's thoughts. We know the Fantastic Four movie is coming out next year. We know it's a period piece because it's supposed to be set in the 1960s. What if this all starts the anger of the Von Doom family with Howard Stark? Because Howard Stark does something that maybe kills Von Doom's mom, that sets off the catalyst for revenge for years to come.
You got a theory, Derek, before I throw mine out?
So I have a pretty straightforward theory. I think that the theories that Ken has put out are entertaining, and I think that they could be a lot of fun. If they go just the straight, which I don't think that they're going to go for anything that is not a big risk. That's not what they've been doing here. Just bringing him back at all as Doom is in and of itself a risk. But if they're going to go a straight route of just, this is Victor Von Doom, Fantastic Four is set on another Earth. It's set in the 60s. Maybe Howard Stark is a part of that. And maybe this is a variant of Tony Stark in this reality. That's just what he looks like. Victor Von Doom happens to look like our Tony Stark. They could go something simple like that. And I would not be surprised if it was just some multiversal shenanigans where some people look different on different planets, depending on what happens with branching timelines and things like that. Would it be as entertaining? No, but I can see them taking that safe route and not doing something even bigger like what Ken is mentioning. Also, I wanted to hit on something that Tom had said about Kang probably not going to be gone out of this completely. That I can see Kang taking on the Molecule Man position in Secret Wars, which is not my original theory. I don't want to take credit for it. That's actually something Aman Vellani said about a year ago in an interview, that she could see Kang being the Molecule Man stand-in for Secret Wars, that Doom is taking over. And they've brought in, well, you know what? I don't want to say anything because that could be considered a small spoiler for Deadpool. So I'm not going to say anything else about that, but I know that Ken has seen it. And I'm pretty sure Tom has seen it as well. But I think that they may be laying groundwork that Kang could still be a part of this. Obviously a recasted Kang the Conqueror, and that he could take that role of Molecule Man from Hickman's Secret Wars.
So I'm in the middle of where you both you guys are. I still think that we're still in the multiversal saga, and I see where you're coming from, Dirk, and I like that. But I do agree with Ken about the possession thing. My thing is that Doom is always playing chess while everybody else in the Marvel universe is playing checkers. Mm-hmm. My theory is that Doom, understanding now multiverse travel because reasons, has taken a Tony Stark from another universe, one of those clipped timelines or whatnot, and has done a body swap with him, knowing the fact that they're not going to want to kill their friend.
Quite possible.
That's me.
Could be.
Yeah, there's just so many different ways they can go about this.
Because it's Doom.
Well, right. That's the thing. Doom can literally pull off just about anything. Mm-hmm. And as we've seen, just his presence in the MCU, is groundbreaking. But I thought just with what Marvel did at San Diego, they really wanted to swing everybody's attention back to the MCU, give everybody that feeling that we're getting back to business and they're going to have a loaded 2025. And that is saying something because obviously next year, the distinguished competition is dropping the Superman movie that is going to be all over the place, and rightfully so. Like I say, what a time to be alive for a comic fan.
And how the hell did they get him into the convention center? That's the one thing I wonder. Like, I would love that, like, a week from now, Marvel puts out a video of how we snuck in RDJ.
And how they kept it as quiet as they did. I mean, I know that there were rumors circulating around within the last couple of weeks or so, but to keep it as quiet as they did, and for that actually to get to be the reveal and the pop that it was, because if you watch that video, any of the videos that are circulating, that was the loudest pop I've heard out of Hall H in a Marvel panel in years.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm also saying that, you know, if you don't know, Derek, I used to live down there. So, like, I know the ins and out of where the convention center is. It's like, how did you get him through?
Right.
Like you had to literally drive a vehicle into the convention center. Like, you couldn't take it out on the sidewalk or even back on the back pier or whatnot. You had to drive it into the hall. Like, Marvel, I'm putting it out here. Give me the behind the scenes.
Well, I think it's going to be something like Rich touched upon too, about the same way they got WWE snuck CM Punk into WrestleMania, or to Survivor Series rather. Same way that Jared Leto and Mark Ruffalo have come to New York Comic Con. Like, there's ways to pull it off and there's ways to make things happen. So I think in this situation, we got to just let the story play out. We as fans should just be enjoying we're getting more Avengers movies.
Yay.
And the fact that we're going to get something, that's the big win right here. So to let the story play out, and obviously everybody's going to have some theories, and definitely throw them in the chat tonight, super chat. We definitely want to see it. And for even more San Diego Comic-Con coverage, make sure to check out Nerd Initiative News. The video is up right now. An amazing job by our news team. Shout out to them. So if you want to get the full skinny of what's happening in San Diego, boom, there it is. But that being said, we came to talk some comics tonight, so this is what we're going to be doing. Infamous Iron Man from Marvel Comics. Now, if you're new to the show, what we like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement about what we're going to be discussing. After that statement, we are going to walk you through the book. We're going to talk about what we liked and then what we didn't like. We're going to give a grade at the end, and then we want to see yours there and really kind of tie it off if this book should be in your collection or not. So, Derek, that being said, what is your spoiler-free statement on Infamous Iron Man?
Spoiler-free statement is, what if Dr. Doom decided that he wanted to do some good in this world? I don't want to say anything else without maybe spoiling some things, but yeah, that's really it. What if Dr. Doom decided to do some good in this world? And it's an interesting read.
All right, Tom?
It's all set up. It really is. Like, it's just world building at this point. I mean, we're coming off of Civil War II, so we really have to quick pivot and give the reader something to latch onto. That's all I got.
With this series, the concept is unique because you take the big bad of the MCU, the Marvel Comics universe, and you decide to have him switch roles. And it's something that he believes in, and it really shows you his true power is not his abilities, it's his sheer will. And if he puts his mind to it, he's going to do it. And for everybody that doubted that he could become a hero, he decides to, but in his manner. And this really reflects a lot of his actions he did in the past, and even now in the present, with some great stories that are going on right now at Marvel Comics. So it's a testament to say about for Doom to really kind of flip it a 180 and see what we get, and to think about the success of this series. Would we have a superior Spider-Man if this did not take off?
Probably not.
Would we have some other variations of heroes or villains trying to become heroes? I mean, granted, the concept or the main idea has been around for centuries, or decades rather. But to see it done with the big bad of Marvel, that's truly saying something. And where we kick off things too, like we touched upon, it's post-Civil War II, a crossover that polarizing, to put it mildly.
Right.
And then as we go to the first page, due to the fact of the Illuminati, there is the Cabal. Which we do see some noted villains such as Emma Frost, Loki, the Hood, who at this time was Marvel's fast-rising supervillain force of nature himself, and Namor, who let's face it, Namor has always been, and I hate using the term, but an anti-hero. He's always been somebody that's played both sides of the fence, depending on who
He's fluid.
Yeah, to say the least. And as we're seeing this unfold, they're having a little meeting, and they're obviously waiting for Norman Osborn to come through. And the Hood decides to make I don't want to say fatal flaw, but he decides to do a saying that we all know, and it's called something around and find out. And he decides to start prodding into Victor Von Doom. So, Tom, I'll start with you. When you're seeing this unfold and the Hood is asking him questions, what are you thinking?
You should not be at the big kids table. Plain and simple. I mean, at that point, the Hood is finally, like you said, is coming up. And, he's definitely moved up in the ranks. And for Doom to put him on spot right there, just because he's being impatient and insolent, he found out real quick.
Yeah. I mean, Derek, when you're seeing this too, and knowing the history of Doom, wise choice or no?
No, absolutely not. It was a terrible choice, but it's also something that's very much in character for the Hood. I mean, the Hood is nothing if not an idiot that is always punching above his weight class. Like that's been his entire MO, and especially at this point in the comics, during Marvel Now, and then even moving on a little bit past that, where he was kind of rising up in the criminal ranks. And the fact that he gets a stare down from Victor Von Doom and doesn't shut his mouth. He keeps on going. And the fact, I mean, why would you not? It was an illustrated panel. I stopped speaking when Doom cuts his eyes over at him.
Yeah, the glance over is so telling.
Yeah.
And everybody in the room knows it. And you can see them trying to tell him, like, hey, you might want to stop this. You really want to stop this. And nope, he keeps going. And especially mentioning Victor Von Doom's mother, which, I mean, to go at family is one thing, but especially with Victor and what he's done, because as they touched upon, he literally got her out of hell.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, is next level sorcery and dedication and a whole bunch of themes going on. So for the Hood to go there, it's obviously a mistake. And then one thing I love is the next page that we go to, and there's a certain panel where you see Victor staring at everybody in that room through his eyes on the first page of the third panel. And I just think this is such a brilliant shot that Maleev did.
Mm-hmm.
And to get that perspective of like, this is how, I don't want to say disgusted he is with everybody, but he's now reached his breaking point where he's like, I'm done. Or everybody has an idea what they're all waiting to see what he's going to do, except the Hood is kind of staring. And then Victor just vaporizes him to India. And I love the line that Loki has is like, did you kill him? I really hoped you did. I mean, seeing this all play out, I mean, Derek, what's your reactions to this?
Well, to bring up the panel that you're talking about there, that POV shot, the fact that you can see his helmet in front of his eyes, it's just an indication of he's the most important thing in his eyes. Victor Von Doom is what is important. The fact that he has to look past him to see all these other people, they're beneath him in every way in that panel. Every person in that room, he knows that they're beneath him. And also just the disappointment on the rest of the Cabal's face that he didn't just go ahead and kill the Hood was pretty great.
Yeah, that was amazing. Tom?
Oh, I just love the vaporization panel. I mean, you look at all that gorgeous purple and just the textures and everything. Like if you get a chance to read this digitally and really be able to pull this one up and blow it up and look into it, there is so much detail and texture that it really makes you appreciate, one, the art to begin with, but two, just the oh crap moment. And then you get the, oh, he's just been transported away. So again, Doom is trying to change his ways, which we see in some sort just by go away. Go. No, you go now. Thank you. Bye.
Well,
but he didn't kill him.
No, because I think in this case, he's just like, what do I get out of this? And I think that's how much he doesn't respect the Hood in any which way, shape, or form.
Does he respect anybody?
He respects some. There are some characters in the MCU he does. But on this stage, no, the Hood is not somebody that's that high up on his rankings. And then we go to a shot that back on that page 2, where we go see Victor in his armor, and then all of a sudden he's in a suit. And that is literally where his journey now begins, because from here he winds up going on a mission to save Maria Hill from a very old school villain of the Fantastic Four,
El Diablo.
Diablo. Yeah, and I love the stretch to go use Diablo here. And then seeing this unfold, that Diablo is interrogating and torturing Maria Hill because he wants the access codes to all the helicarriers. And Doom just comes in there just in his suit. And you see Diablo looking, going like, who are you? Like, I know you. And Doom is just sitting there, just more or less saying like, yeah, I can't let you do this. And he is just so dumbfounded that somebody would dare challenge him on this level that he's like, okay, I'll use my powers. And then Doom just goes, well, all right, I guess there's one way to handle this. And he starts using his magic to move things around. Tom, what is your reaction to this whole sequence?
This is very, I'm going to say it, this is very Iron Man. If you think about it, Tony Stark knows he walks in the room, he's the smartest person in the room. On the flip, Doom has walked into the room. He knows he's the most powerful person in the room, and he doesn't need his suit to do it. You know, he's got on his armor, his bravado, if you think about it. And I love the fact that they did use Diablo. I love the fact that they didn't update Diablo, because this is a classic costume that is perfectly right out of the 60s. Like, this was, I think he was invented by Stan and Kirby.
Yep.
Now I think about it. So to not update, you know, because at this time, Civil War, you know, we were getting some new costume designs and everything, to keep it where it was at. This is fantastic. No pun intended. And then Vic was like, yeah, done.
Yeah. I mean, Derek, talk us through this here. I mean, is this up to Tony level or not?
Yeah, I absolutely think it is. And Tom, you brought that up about this being a very Iron Man type of a deal, where Tony Stark knows he's the smartest person in the room. He knows that he's going to be able to do whatever he can and get out of any situation with or without his armor. That's the whole reason why Tony Stark is Iron Man, is Tony Stark is Iron Man. They're the same person. And it's the same thing with Doom. Doom does not need his armor. He is incredibly powerful. He knows he's incredibly powerful. He knows that everything is this entire situation is in his hands. He can do whatever he wants. And that is one reason why I was talking to somebody about this recently, that I always have equated Dr. Doom and Iron Man to be as connected as Dr. Doom and Fantastic Four. Even though Dr. Doom and Fantastic Four have more interactions in comics, they're so similar. And the times that they have interacted have been so telling of both of these characters. I mean, the lead up to this, the lead up to Civil War II, on Bendis's run on just Invincible Iron Man, Doom is a main character in that book. And where he's actually helping Tony Stark. In Doom Quest, when they go back to Camelot and they're fighting on opposite sides, they've had so many interactions in the past that when he walks in the room, it does feel like something that you would see out of Iron Man. And it's a really interesting thing to see from Dr. Doom. On top of the fact that you just don't see him without armor on ever in the comics. That was a big deal in this, that he's not wearing the armor. And he's still imposing. And I also wanted to hit real quick on the art on that transition from his stare as Dr. Doom to his blank stare as Victor. The incredible talent that it takes to show the transition in a character from menacing to still imposing, but not terrifying, from the armored face to Victor's face. Phenomenal. I think that is always impressive to me, when an artist can take somebody in an armored suit and give them so much emotion, but then changing that after that to, you can see the difference here. This is still Victor Von Doom, but this is not the diabolical, I'm going to take over the world, Dr. Doom in that moment. I thought it was incredible. But
is it? See, now I got to argue there.
Okay.
Just because it's so calm and cool and collected, again, yes, I'd be more afraid of the guy who doesn't show emotion than the one who does.
Right. Like I said, very, very imposing. But I think that there's a difference there, where Maleev's art here in those first couple of panels of showing so much malice and anger on the face of Doom when he's dealing with the Hood, when he's looking at the rest of the Cabal, versus the calm, cool, and collected look of Victor in those panels. Yes, it's just as imposing. But there's a difference there. It's the malice that's not there anymore on that. That's why it stood out to me.
Yeah. And even to touch something that you said about how Iron Man and Doctor Doom are the same size as the coin. Like, I always kind of refer to them as like Batman and Two-Face.
Mhm.
Like, they're literally the same character, just a little different here, just a minor difference.
One bad day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
absolutely.
That's what you get here. So to see the Doom unleashes the attack here, and then to go to this amazing 2-page spread that they have on the next page, like, this was a moment, like, I'm just watching this, and you can just see how the artwork has really stepped up to do this. And you really get just a small glimpse of Doom being Doom without the armor, which I think for a lot of fans, they don't ever try putting one and one together. So, like, Tom, when you're seeing this unfold, what's your reaction?
Again, it's the playing. I love when you can draw in this particular style, but when you can add the powers and the abilities and they still pop off the scene. But one of the big things is, like, if you see how he's holding his hands out and holding those little demons at bay, there's still just enough glow on his face. I'm sorry, I'm talking the art for a second. Like, I'm down for everything else that's on here, but just the artwork, I love when you can get lighting just right. It's one of my biggest things I always love in comic books. So again, it's just yay, it's happy. I'm it's okay. Doom's being Doom and he's killing the bad guy because, well, F around and find out again. You just took Maria Hill, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm trying to do something good. So
yeah, I mean, Derek,
can I just get a sound clip of me just going like that, since we're just
we might have to do this. I mean, seeing this all unfold too. I mean, what about this 2-page spread for you?
Yeah, I got to echo what Tom said. The one thing that impressed me the most, not just about this series, but the art style with this creative team that we've seen in Daredevil and other things that they've done together, that little bit of light and darkness, that shading, there's always a little bit of intrigue, a lot of shadow, and then the light plays off of the characters so well. It really does seem like I've never seen another artist do this with light so well, where it's really seeming like there's an actual light source hitting this character. It's really well done. But on top of that, to go back to the fact that this is just Diablo. I mean, when's the last time we saw Diablo with his little shenanigans going on up against somebody? And it was fun to see that. And it's also fun to, again, remind yourself that, like you said, Kim, Dr. Doom is not the armor. Dr. Doom is powerful on his own.
Yeah. And I think that, like, the showcase here too, like I say, how quickly he deals with Diablo, and then he's literally lecturing Maria Hill after about this. Like, this is when you know, like, okay, he's not going to be a full Superman Boy Scout. He's literally saying, yeah, I had to help you. You can thank me later, because if you tell anybody about this, how embarrassing is it that I had to come down and help you? I mean, this just kind of set the tempo for what hero we're going to get. And then especially Maria Hill it just drops the,
what the
yeah. Like, what just happened? And it's a moment that I think, like, defines this series, because literally you're seeing Doom come in being as all overconfident, as snarky as ever, and just doing good things. Like, it's mind blowing to see.
If he was doing good things, he wouldn't kill. Let's put it that way. Doom is doing Doom things in a good lens.
Yes.
That's true, but at the same time, not to dive too much into the rest of the series, there's a lot of times that Doom could just demolish someone and delete them out of existence, and he chooses not to. So I do see this as, even though, people make mistakes, he's trying to learn. He's never been a hero before.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because you okay, see this, I'm going to do it again. Doom is probably one of the best characters out there because he's trying to take care of Latavia. And in doing so, it goes back to the old trope that some of the best villains out there always think they're the good guys.
That's true. You're not wrong. And I do think that's why Doom has been so compelling and so long lasting, because he does have a case that, hey, I'm trying to do the right thing by my people. You guys are screwing around and messing with me. I'm just trying, don't come into my backyard and tell me how to do things. However, then we also have God Emperor Doom. So there's, every time that we talk about, oh, he's just, trying to look out for his own, he's also destroying the entire multiverse to prop himself up as a god. So
It's tomatoes. It's
Right.
bogus. Like I say, it's just like, well, sometimes if it's working here, why doesn't I just make it work everywhere else? I mean,
Right.
I'm that good. I can do this.
It scales,
Yeah. Like, sure, the rest of people might not get on board at first, but let me have some time and do this. I mean, that's why I was thinking, not to get too off track, but when we had Doom 2099, it's like Doom finally took over the world 100 years after, and it's like, see, everything was fine.
Right.
So it's kind of like laying the groundwork for it. But to get back to the story, I mean, super chat, throw in your best Doom moment. I definitely want to hear what everybody has to say about Dr. Doom in general. Favorite Doom story or favorite Doom moment. We do see him go to the University of Columbia, I believe. Cambridge rather, to go visit an old friend. And it's kind of a unique experience here because as he's going there, we don't really know what the plan is to see Dr. Amara Pereira. And we see like Doom has a friend. Like that's the first thing that threw me off because I'm like, well, Doom has isolated himself so much, like he doesn't carry like a social circle around. But you have to go see his old friend and kind of like start hinting at like what he's doing. Derek, I'll start with you. Like, what do you think of this scene and how this is transitioning now?
I mean, I think to call her a friend is putting it politely, but it is kind of strange to see him just interacting with someone without being overly judgmental, and because that's always Doom's thing. Doom is summed up in one sentence of "How dare you speak to me?" So the idea that he would go and seek out someone and speak to them as if they were an equal, as if they were someone that he actually cares about her opinion, is a strange thing. That's the whole thing with this entire book is, boy, isn't that weird to see Dr. Doom acting like this?
Yeah.
So that was my takeaway with that. And again, like I said, we saw a little bit that there were hints of this that Bendis was laying out in his Iron Man run. So, it wasn't so surprising, but to see them continue on with it and for him to really kind of seek out this person was very strange.
Yeah. Tom?
What I really got out of this scene between Doom and Pereira is the fact that, everything is in the scene is white. It's dull, it's pasty. Because I mean, it's light shades of blues and grays and whatnot. In addition to white. And then there's Victor. Boom. Mod as like he came right out of the 60s with his turtleneck on. And so you're definitely still getting that. I'm Victor Von Doom. I'm going to do this my way. And I agree with Derek. The fact that I wouldn't say friend, colleague would probably be the best, term. Frenemy, I think is a little too far. But to have a mutual respect, I think that this was really fun. Just the dynamic that's going on, especially like, who the heck is this? Who this person?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just something, like I say, for Doom, that's as close as he's going to have to a friend. So to see him just being cordial with somebody is like, it threw me off because we didn't get the big egotistical Doom. Like we had a confident Victor catching up with somebody. And to see how this plays out, like it just adds a different dynamic to the story, which I love how Bendis kept everybody guessing about this. Because every time, I mean, maybe it's just me, super chat panel, let me know. I kept waiting for the shoe to drop. Like I kept going like, this isn't going to last. Like he's going to just whip out the metal mask and it's going to get down to business. The fact that Bendis played this at a very slowed down pace, I think really helps cement the idea that, yeah, there's more to him in this story than we even realize. And the fact that he's having those conversations is a big deal, even when we get to see who comes in and checks on him. And obviously we knew it was going to be somebody big. And I think we got the delivery of that. A certain christened agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tom, who decides to crash the party?
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, the kid from Yancey Street.
Yes. So we see Ben Grimm come down to check and see why is Victor Von Doom talking to you, Amara? What is the deal here? Like and she's trying to be like, she's acting dumbfounded. And Ben is like pressing, which I mean, politely pressing for him. He's not doing a full interrogation, if you will. But obviously, with Doom acting the way he is, the world is on notice. And nobody takes more notice than the first family of Marvel Comics. So when you see this play out, I mean, Derek, to see this cameo, how well timed was this?
I think it was perfectly timed, and I didn't expect it. I knew somebody would be after him. I knew that somebody would be coming for him, especially because we got the Maria Hill save early on. So I knew it would be somebody, and you have to figure that it's going to be somebody from the Fantastic Four. But the way that they framed up the Thing, he's so imposing. He takes up the entire panel. The great reaction shot from Amara of this just dumbfounded, awestruck look of, oh my God, now what? This it was so great, and I really am glad that they brought in the Thing to be the one, to bring Ben Grimm in to be the one who has always been antagonistic to Doom, no matter what. He's always the one that just wants to punch Doom in the face. He's all brawn. There's no brain to it. So you're taking one of the most intelligent people in the entire Marvel universe up against someone who only thinks with his fists. Not that Ben is an idiot by any means.
Right.
He is not an intellectual. He's a blunt instrument. He's a hammer that's coming after Doom. I think it was a great pairing and a really fun reveal when you turn the page there.
Yeah. Tom?
Hey, and Derek said the Thing. So I have to agree now. While Derek was going, he's absolutely right. While you're panning up to Ben Grimm, I just looked up. Do you know what his stat is for height?
No.
It actually makes Ken look short.
Really?
He's 7'1".
Wow.
So you got to figure, while Dr. Pereira is sitting in her chair at like 4 foot, to look up and see just 1,200 pounds of clobbering time. Yes, he does not need to be, hi, how you doing? I'm just here to, have you seen Victor Von Doom? What are you doing? He's like, hey, have you seen Doom? I'm just going to stand here and cross my arms. And that's it. You're going to talk.
And let's be real about the dialogue too. Hi, I'm Ben Grimm, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. You might have heard me. I'm kind of a big deal. How, like that whole delivery.
That's Ben Grimm,
yes,
right there.
Yeah. Was absolutely incredible. And you're just like, I like, am I supposed to take this serious or not? But it works for like the moment it needs to be, because we have Doom being all, super sleuth spy, if you will. Like he just has a, I don't want to say like a James Bond kind of aura to him, but like a little bit, just with like the dress that he's wearing. He's
more like the character Mads Mikkelsen played in Casino Royale.
Yes,
just as confident.
Yeah, and he's very stoic, and to have the stoicism of Doom, immediately almost a smash cut to Ben Grimm, kind of, almost in a flirty way of introducing himself. I mean, I don't think he's flirting by any means, but just the whole, I'm kind of a big deal. I mean, he's in there talking like he's Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
It's such a great dichotomy between those two characters, and fantastic. No pun.
Oh my God. I almost want to have a Ron Burgundy voiceover for Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
Even though we are going to have a amazing actor playing him.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Oh my God.
I can't wait.
Really? You had to do this? You had to get me started? Because Derek, I don't know if you know, I don't give 1, 2, or 3 fantastic flips about anybody else in the Fantastic Four and Phil right now, and except for the Thing. I don't care if Big Poppy's there playing Reed Richards. I don't give it. I don't care. You can give me the quantum reactor, whatever the heck it is, pop them all out of existence. All I want is Ebon to play the Thing. Thank you very much.
Yes. So
I don't think you're wrong in that, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you, cousin.
I'm with you. It's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, no, that whole film is going to be, the expectations are so high for next year. It's ridiculous. But then we go back to the story at hand, and Victor is investigating a hall of armor, if you will. Like, to walk us through this scene, Derek, he's kind of decided to take some liberties investigating Tony's laboratory here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looking through, and like I said, if for those of you watching, if you haven't read Bendis's run on Iron Man that was leading up to Civil War II and to this, there's some great interactions between Tony and Doom. And so in this, where you get to see him almost judging Tony's armory while standing next to a completely accurate representation, a digital representation of Tony Stark, having to watch this play out. It was just a great scene to see, because again, you have that stoicism of Doom. You have this reluctant expression of, no, you this was very impressive armor. You did a really great job. This is really good. And you can see that on his face of, no, this is good. I think that I'm going to use some of this. And then you just have to watch Tony stand there and kind of take it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, Tom, when you're watching this unfold, what's going through your mind?
Missed panels. I really think that there's a missed page here, because how did he go from being at the University of Cambridge into a Hall of Armor? That is my first thing. Like, you went from such a hard cut to the next. Aside from that, the interaction, freaking wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I can't say anything bad about this. I love how Tony was portrayed. I loved how they put the aura around him. I love that because he was a digitized version, we did get a separate type of lettering for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, and it goes back to what I said about the previous thing, with as much light and brightness that's still around, Victor's still there in this darkness, in just in the way he's being drawn and his costuming and everything. It works. It just works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything about this just works, because then you see, like, he gives a tap on Tony's shoulder there and is like, don't worry, I will pick up your mantle.
I will always vent.
I will be Iron Man. And you can just see, like, Tony is just somewhat, I don't want to say seething, but you could definitely
He's not okay with it.
He's not okay
He's
with
not
this,
okay
dude.
with it.
He's just like, all right, just like, stop now. And Doom is like, no worries, I got this.
Now, I have a good question for you, Derek. Being our Iron Man aficionado, do you any idea which exact suit Doom had taken? Or can you just a good guesstimate? So
this suit, of course, is modeled after the one from the Invincible Iron Man run. It's Model 51, also known as the Prime Armor. It's almost exactly the same armor, just with some rivets and some little flavor to make it look like Doom, with the green tints and things like that. So I don't know where he would have gotten this armor, if he actually just went to Stark's armory and took it, but that armor was pretty well destroyed when Tony died at the end of Civil War II. That's the armor he was wearing. So I don't know if this is just an idea, well, hey, this is Dr. Doom. He knows how to work with armor. He can use his magic to create some things. And like you said, maybe there's some missing pages here because they're going just at a kind of a rapid pace to get the story going. Right. That there may have been some things that they left on the cutting room floor of the story. But it's definitely modeled after that Model 51 Prime Armor, which I have to say, while so many people love it, God, that's one of the ugliest armors that they've ever drawn. I can't stand that armor. It looks good on Doom, though. It looks great on Doom. But as Tony's armor, man, I can't stand that armor.
I agree with you. Like this, like to see that as we go to the shot now. Yeah, like that is, a great Doom armor. But like for Tony, I don't know. Like it did not click with me. Like I was like, yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, when did Tony ever wear this? Like this doesn't look like him. Like there's a certain vibe, a certain feel. Mm-hmm. Like this just did not look like him.
Well, now that you guys said that, let me ask the guy in the chair there, the fantastic Rich, if he could go back to the panel just before he zapped Diablo, if he can pull it back up, simply for the fact that if you take a quick look, he's actually using not just magic, but there is a glove on his hand. So I'm wondering if Doom had made his own tech already and then enhanced it with whatever he found in Tony's lab.
That's the way that I had read it, because when it didn't look like just his sorcery that we would normally see from him. It did look like some form of tech other than just magic. And so I kind of had the idea, especially because I believe that Prime Armor, if I'm not mistaken, had like a chameleon factor where he could be wearing it and you wouldn't notice that he was wearing it. It would just look like normal clothes. So if it's that, he may have already had something like it. And then, like you said, he's going to the armory there to kind of take some notes and see what he needs to change on his own.
Little reverse engineering. That's what we're looking for.
There you go.
And it definitely works in this situation because now you see Doom take off. But as we go to the last page of the book, though, We do see that somebody has shown up and has a very vested interest in what Victor is doing. And that's, lo and behold, his mother. To talk about a mic drop moment. I mean, Tom, walk us through this.
Like, we know he's been through hell literally for his mom's sake, but why is mom now playing literally the devil's advocate and throwing her son under the bus, talking to whoever, maybe your son has finally found his true calling. Daddy? Who's Daddy?
Yeah.
Because last I knew it was Weiser, I can never remember his name. But the other Von Doom, like, is there an illusion here that it's somebody else? Is it Mephisto? It's Mephisto.
It's always Mephisto.
It's always Mephisto. At this time period, it could be Mephisto.
It actually probably could. It very much could be Mephisto.
Yeah.
And also to see how young she is, I mean, Victor's at least pushing 55 at this point, or at least the way they're portraying him. At least he's that well aged. And again, that just could be through the ravages of war. So we could even say, he might be, closer to Ken's age than my age.
But, like I say, we both have magic Botox. We make ourselves look very young.
It's true.
It's reverse Benjamin Buttism.
So to see mom that young is like, okay, cool. And we're still getting that bit of mysticism in with everything, because even though as much as this is Iron Man and tech based, we still have that magical essence going around because it's Doom.
Derek, how about you?
Yeah, I think it was just such a great button on the end of this book, and one of the reasons why I enjoyed this issue so much, because that's just clever writing. You open up the book, you open up this issue with Doom being very, very touchy about his mother, to the point where he just sends Hood away because he's tired of listening to him. But it's very much because, do not speak about my mother. So you know how important it is to him. And then you end this with the fact that, oh, she's here, and there are things going on behind the scenes that he doesn't know about. And why is she alive? And why does she look so young? And who is she talking to? And what is going on? And what is this going to do to him and his psyche as this goes forward? And I just think it was a really, really clever bit of storytelling to open with his feelings about his mother, and then end the issue with the big reveal that she's going to have a part to play in this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I thought it was a perfect bookend because of how defensive he was, to now see it tied back, and to really just kind of say, with her coming back. Yeah, I mean, with her being as young as she is here, you have to kind of think, well, if he pulled her out of hell, there's a lot of magic involved. So how that happens with age in the MCU is always kind of a little tricky, because we talk about like characters like Morgan Le Fay and how she never ages throughout the history of time.
Magic.
Yeah. So when you kind of factor that in, it can play in to what we see here.
Not Morgan and magic, literally magic.
Yeah, no, but that's what I said. Like
with a K.
But yeah. But magic is another one too, Ilya Rasputin. So to see how this ends, like I say, they end on a very strong cliffhanger with her now watching her son with the ominous voice lurking in the background, and really kind of puts a very strong debut into place. So that being said, before we give our grades, chat, super chat, if you've read this, definitely throw your grades in out of 10. What do you rank this at? Let's go over, was there anything we didn't like, starting with Tom?
You've already got my thing as far as I think that there were missing panels. And again, Derek was probably alluding to it too, that they were just trying to get that breakneck pace going from Cambridge to where they were in the armory. So that's pretty much my only issue I've had with this issue. I don't think that there's really been any other big thing that stuck out as, okay, never mind. But, now that I think about it, that whole thing with when he was at Cambridge, that was a hologram. So he could have been projecting from the armory, and still we don't know where the hell he was.
Yeah, no, that's
or how he got there.
That's where I think he was, to jump ahead there. But Derek, how about you?
As far as downsides and negatives about this book, I always have, as much as I love Brian Michael Bendis' writing, he has a tendency to do a lot of talking heads. And I actually feel like there wasn't enough in this issue. There was a lot of blank panels. And I feel like it would have, I don't know if it would have made it more intriguing, or maybe made Tom like it a little bit better if they had just a little bit more discussion, a little bit more conversation. I understand that when you're dealing with Doom, that he is going to be stoic. He's not going to be, he's not a verbose character when he doesn't feel like it, you know, and especially in this, while he's trying to make everybody understand, no, I'm a good guy now. Why are you acting like I'm scaring you? Did I do anything scary other than to show up out of nowhere at your place of work without you, knowing that it was going to happen? So I think that they could have benefited with a little bit more of that talking head exposition that I normally don't love from Michael Bendis. So that's again, it's a weird negative to have, but it's one that
it's missing something to latch onto.
Yes. Well, I have to agree with you, because it threw me off a little bit seeing this at the beginning, because like I touched upon, I kept waiting for the Doom switch to flip, and it didn't. And I think it had to go with a lot of you talked about the talking heads points, because there's a lot of just regular art panels in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so used to seeing Doom with a lot of word balloons. And to see that switch, I think it threw off, but I think what they were really trying to do, and it didn't take me that far out of the story, but I think the pacing, like they really were speeding through a lot, because they want to establish, like, okay, we start from the hood, and then all of a sudden we're off to the races being a good guy. And it's kind of like, wait, when did this transition happen? Like, what was the moment that did? And I think by the time we get done with it, if they had slowed down, maybe added a couple more pages like Tom talked about, I think it would have been like a near perfect book. But I just think that the pacing just went so fast that you have to do like a couple reads to really pick up on some things. But if you do that, I think you get more of a benefit of the story. But if you're just doing like one and done, it can be a little messy, like Megan pointed out in the chat.
I read it twice just so I was prepared, because like you said, that first time, but I definitely gave it 2 good reads before coming in, and I was still on the fence. Not a bad way, but just skeptic.
No, man, it's completely fair.
Yeah.
So that being said, we have to give a grade on this. We will start with Derek. What is your grade out of 10?
My grade is 8 out of 10. There was not enough negatives to give this a lower score. Like you said, it wasn't a perfect book by any means, but it was enough that got me intrigued to keep going. And again, it's got Iron Man on the cover. We've got an Iron Man armor. I'm going to read this book, even though I will admit, I admitted to Kim beforehand, I actually had not read this before this weekend. This was one of the ones that I missed. One of the reasons because, Civil War II was a little bit of a messy time, and I missed some stuff after that.
No, I fully hear you on that. Tom?
I gave it a 7.5. Like I said, I think that with the pacing that was going on, it really took me out of the story to the point that I had to read it a second time. Anything else as far as good points? I mean, the art was fantastic. The tonal color, again, it all goes back to the art for me. But also, let's give a big, huge nod to the fact that Loki also had a completely different lettering as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one little thing I loved. And Tony did as well. But yeah, it really was just the pacing of the book that really took me out of it. There wasn't enough, as Derek said, to really latch onto, even with a second read. So that's where I'm at, 7.5.
No, that's completely fair. For me, I went a little higher because I looked at it like this. I have read quite a few Dr. Doom books in my day. And to see a fresh take on him in this perspective with one of the most well-known creative teams at Marvel at the time too, and literally now in all of comics, it was really something to see, okay, what could we do with them that was different? And the one thing that I appreciate when anybody tries taking a real creative approach is if they can give me something I haven't seen before and present it in a new manner, that I'm going to kind of gravitate towards it more. And like Derek touched upon, Civil War II era at Marvel, it's a time, to say the least. They
were fine with one Civil War. Why two?
It's not one of my favorite eras of Avengers / Marvel's time period. Like, I'll just put it there. So to see something come out like this and really show the big bad of the MCU in a different way, and really kind of give a teasing idea of, can he really be redeemed? Can he really step into a mantle that, quite frankly, isn't his, but he's so determined to make it his that he's willing to sacrifice the one power that he has, and that's his ego. I gave this a 9. I thought that taking the pacing out of it, I really thought they hit the key points to keep me intrigued and make me go, okay, where are we going to next? So I think we were talking off air about this too. I think this is the most diverse gradings that we've ever had for a book here on All Turn a Page.
Mm-hmm. More than likely. I mean, what did we average out to?
I think it's like an 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, it is something very good. And to answer that in the chat, wings. Yes, I will say. So that being said, this book will be something that if you want to get into a little groundwork of possibly what is going to happen in the MCU, and I do stress possibly because we don't know yet. Nope. This is a fun story to see how the history of Dr. Doom and Iron Man intertwine. There is quite a good amount of books that really kind of dive into this. Like I say, I know there's one that everybody's kind of really talking about a little bit, a Marvel team-up book that Robert Kirkman wrote that has a Dr. Doom, Tony Stark vibe to it. But for me, this is the one that I think that we might see a little basis on, and especially if they're going to keep to the characters. I think this is one that could have big implications for the movies, but if not, it's a fun read on two classic characters.
Oh, yeah.
And you can never go wrong with that. So that being said, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day.
Already?
Oh, yes, it is.
Jeez.
Derek, I didn't get a chance to get a graphic from you, but what are you reading at the shops these week?
My gosh. I don't have anything new that I'm reading right now. So it's just all back issue things that I'm catching up on. Batman, Superman, World's Finest. I'm still catching up on that. One. That's the one I'm going through right now. I'm pretty far behind on that. But World's Finest is what I've been reading and loving every second of it. It's a great book.
Excellent pick. I would say it for me, like between that and Transformers, I think are the two best books at the comic shops, like bar none. Like I think they really come out with such a high bar. And the great thing too is like all comics are right around there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's such an amazing time to be a fan.
Yeah.
Tom, what's your pick for this week?
Well, much to Ken's chagrin, I'm obviously picking, what's in my wheelhouse. So it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Darkest Hour #1.
Gasp.
I know, but this is finally it. After 8 years, this is the end of the Power Rangers series as we know it. It is very bittersweet for me to say that. I have been struggling to write my article right now because, one, I want to put in 8 years of love into it, but at the same time, I also still have to be very objective about this. So it's going to be a long tooth article, which you can check out tomorrow on Nerd Initiative starting at 9 a.m.
Very well said. If you need to do a history,
shameless plug.
If you need to do a history of the Power Rangers article, we can allow that too.
Okay,
we might have to because obviously this is a big moment for Power Rangers fandom. And for me this week, like this is tough because we're coming off the heels of San Diego Comic-Con. There are some great books coming out too. Last week really was like a probably the biggest week of the year to date. But this week though, I went with something very close to what we've talked about tonight. There is a series over at Dark Horse Comics that is featuring the creative team behind the book we talked about tonight. It is called Masterpiece. So tomorrow, Masterpiece #6 by Bendis Maleev comes out. It's the conclusion of the miniseries, and this is a very, very cool book. Like I say, if you like the Ocean's 11 type vibe, it's a mystery story that's going on. There's so many different elements, and this is just cool. Like I say, it's one of those books that just you pick up and there's a certain vibe to it. Like I say, it kind of reminds me of like the old Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury series from this Sterantenko. So like that type of period, like I always kind of gravitate to stuff like that. This book is like almost like a modern version to a degree. Like there's so many different elements going on. I think the series is absolutely incredible, and it's like a shame it's the last issue. But like I say, it's one that if you're really into something that is just very different from everything else at the shops, this is one to go check out. And if you're looking for more comic book recommendations, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at nerdinitiative.com. Like I say, it kicks off every Wednesday. The guy in the chair has got a couple great books coming out too. And we are kicking off with the conclusion of Marvel's bloodiest event ever. Blood Hunt #5 will be leading off the lineup tomorrow. So if you've been reading that series, you'll definitely be wanting to check out what happens there.
Yes.
because, like I say, a lot of news has been coming out from their San Diego Comic-Con panels too. So, as we always kind of say, what an amazing time to be a comic reader. And nobody does comic reviews like the Nerd Initiative Bullpen. Nobody. So that being said, before we get out of here, Derek, first and foremost, thank you for coming on the show. We have to see you come back sooner than later.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Had an absolute blast.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody what's going on with you, Paperweight Entertainment, and how to find you?
So there's a wonderful QR code on the screen there. Thank you to the guy in the chair for throwing that up. We've been on a bit of a hiatus this last couple of months with all the shenanigans going on with our business endeavors, but we are coming back. I believe in 2 weeks. We will be back with an episode. Finally, we're talking about Batman the Caped Crusader. So definitely check that out.
Nice. Tom, what's going on with you? TV Talk, the Power Morphicon. Let's talk about it.
All right. So TV Talk right now, we're doing the Road to Umbrella Academy. So hopefully now that I have my microphone issues situated, we'll be finishing up talking about the second half of season 2 and season 3 of Umbrella Academy next Monday, leading up to Umbrella Academy. And we're going to just go barrel right through that. In the meantime, we are less than 1 month away from Power Morphicon. So my friends over at Power Morphicon and myself, we've worked out a thing. I am doing daily videos from now on, from now till day 1 of Power Morphicon, mentioning what Ranger is this, who's going to be there, everything that's going on. So make sure you're sticking tuned to all the social medias, which you can see right there on that QR code over there. I'm not used to having fun here after the past few weeks. Thanks, Matt. So yeah, that QR code over there, and you'll see everything that's going on. These videos are an absolute blast for me to make, and today was even a little bit of a twister, because I was in the Morphicon chat and said, yeah, today's video is going to be talking green. And then I talked about a yellow Power Ranger, because I talked about the season of Power Rangers where they were anti-pollution.
Interesting stuff. And obviously, you want to keep an eye out for Power Morphicon. Tom is going to have that covered, and then some. It's going to be big time for Power Rangers fans. And if you're looking for more fandoms, well, it starts off with the ODPH, because obviously we got a parlay of topics we're talking each and every week. If you're new to Nerd Initiative, we love our QR codes here. So you see a lot of them pop up. So we definitely want to make sure you're clicking on all of those. And as we talked about fandoms, nerdinitiative.com is the place you want to go to find out what your fandoms you should be getting involved with at the home of pop culture positivity, because there's a lot going on there too, especially in the land of pro wrestling. And if you want more pro wrestling talk, obviously Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the guy in the chair, yours truly, and new guy Nick are going to be breaking down everything from AEW, WWE, and all the stories that you need to know about in the land of pro wrestling on Wrestling Night Live here on Nerd Initiative YouTube. And this all is coming off the heels of New Comic Book Day, as we alluded to, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Starting off, we got a whole lineup coming from Marvel, DC, Boom, Image. The best of the best are going to be featured by the best comic review team going today. And last but certainly not least, well, actually 2 parts, because one, it's con season, as Tom alluded to, and I always forget because I don't want to get dinged by our boss Michael about this. You can go buy Nerd Initiative wear. And obviously, if you want to go get some merchandise, support the brand in the wild, you see Derek rocking that sweet hat. You want to get one? Boom, just click on that QR code, go hook yourself up, and let everybody know that you are representing the home of pop culture positivity. And last but certainly not least, there is a homework assignment, and it is very, very simple. Click on that QR code, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching anywhere else but YouTube, you want to make sure you subscribe to YouTube, because there's exclusive content that is going just there. It's not going to go to Twitch. It's not going to go to Twitter. It's not going to go to Facebook. It's going strictly to YouTube. So you don't want to miss it. You want to tap the bell notification to make sure that you don't miss a minute when we go live here at the home of pop culture positivity, and tap that thumbs up to let Michael know that we are doing a great job. And you want to see more of that content right here on Nerd Initiative. So that being said,
don't encourage him.
On behalf, I'm sorry, I'm just reading that right now in the chat. Okay. So I cheers it up to Rich as well. So that being said, when you're at the comic shop and you see somebody struggling to find something, and you have a great issue in your hand, such as Infamous Iron Man #1, hand yours off to him. Tell him to turn a page. We'll see you next week. I'm out.